Alright guys, welcome back to Astronaut. Today I have another Unreal Engine 5.2 tutorial for you, and this is a very interesting tutorial because today we are taking a look at what other programmers from other languages which are not visual scripting, Python, C++, everything like that, know as object-oriented programming. Yes, that's right, you heard that right, object-oriented programming in Unreal Engine 5.2, which is obviously not different from any other version. But in Unreal Engine you may know it as parent classes, child classes, superclasses, subclasses. There are many ways to call it, but these are the main ones. And in this tutorial specifically we are going to be taking a look at how to have a parent blueprint for our character and then have two separate child blueprints for different meshes. So everything is going to be the same for this tutorial, but the mesh is going to be different, and for this purpose I have created another mesh, the Astro Character 2 mesh, which is really good looking. Take a look at it. It's this mesh right here, and this is going to be our second character because our first character was this one, the Astro Character, and now this is the Astro Character 2. Okay, so let me explain what I did. I imported the Astro Character 2 by just importing it. I have another tutorial for that. Make sure to check that out if you don't know how to do it. I imported all the materials right here, and you can see that if we go here we have one extra thing, the skeleton. The skeleton does not exist right here. Basically this is the armature that is assigned to our character, but when I was modeling the character I used the exact same armature that I used for the first character. So what I did was, when I imported the new mesh, I assigned the skeleton of the first character to it, so these two have the same skeleton. Now if you have not done this and your character does not have a skeleton, you want to do it like that, you can simply go here to skeleton, and then if you want a new skeleton you can create skeleton, or if you want to assign a skeleton, just assign, and then this is the skeleton from the previous character. Locate yours similarly and then click it and assign it to it. And then basically what's going to happen is all the data that we have from the first skeleton are going to be used for the second character as well. Now I did that so that the animations would match and all those things would be just fine, and they are. I checked. If yours don't, leave a comment, tell me exactly what you have done, and then I may make a tutorial for it, or I may answer in the comment section. But without further ado, let's get into the tutorial. Blueprints right here, astronaut blueprint, and this is our character's blueprint. Look at this code, look at everything that exists right here, and now you can see that in the viewport we have these two all these things actually. The skeleton is here, but you cannot see it anyways. The mesh is that, the first person camera is this, and the third person camera is that. The collision is this one. You can obviously see that we have a mesh right here, but we don't want that for the superclass, aka the parent class of any blueprint that's going to have subclasses. Those are the child classes. I prefer superclass and subclass. Now what we can do here is we can go and create a new child blueprint class, or subclass, or as I like to call it. And we're gonna be naming that Astro 1. Okay, Astro 1 is going to be the first character, and then Astro 2 is going to be the second character. So we're gonna create another child class, and then we're gonna name it Astro 2. And bear in mind, you do not have to create two child blueprints right from the start. You can just create one and then duplicate it, and then change the mesh and maybe all the other things that you might have to change. For the sake of your time, I am going to delete the second child blueprint, and then I'm going to duplicate it and add the values, but this will not affect the tutorial in any way. Now you can see that we have one problem. Both of these have the same mesh. Okay, we want to change that, but first let me explain what is going on here. If you go into any subclasses event graph, you can find that only these things exist. What happened to our previous code? What happened to all of this? What if we want to edit things? Because generally the code for every child blueprint, or maybe some values, but everything like that may be different, and it's more likely that it is going to be different than not. So what we can get here is you basically don't have to worry, because if you spawn as the child, you can have the same functions and the same character, the same code that you had for the previous character, the parent class. And basically the way to change that, for instance, if you wanted your health to be 100 for the first character but 110 for the second character, for now we're just going to be taking a look at how to change the mesh. Okay, so let's change the mesh for the first character and the second character. The way to do that is a process that I did not look at any tutorials myself to do that, I just thought of it. And basically what you want to do is go here in the parent class, in the event graph, find event begin play, which is right here. Okay, and now I'm going to create a new then off of the sequence. Basically the sequence, if you don't know what it is you can execute a bunch of different code at the same time. Now this is our mesh, okay, the Astro character. So I'm gonna drag that into here, and I am going to promote it to a variable. Actually, right click, promote to variable, and an Astro character. This I like setting it to character mesh, and this is something really interesting, a really interesting concept that you might not have seen before. So connect that to the Then3, and now I'm going to explain what we did here. Right here in the My Blueprint tab, Variables tab, Components tab, the Components tab does not have the variables. The Components tab is basically physical things that exist in the viewport, and the character mesh right here is not the same as the Astro character, but the character mesh is going to be a placeholder if you have worked with Python or anything else, any programming language that you have to write code in correct syntax. These are called placeholders. So let's think of the components as placeholders, okay, for now. And the character mesh is basically a placeholder where we can get any kind of mesh that we want, and all the data that we have from the Astro character here are going to be a character in the character mesh. Okay, the reason I promoted to a variable though is because we want this to be skeletal mesh, and if you don't want to search anything, just promote to variable. In a second though, we are going to be deleting the character mesh, the actual Astro character, from the viewport. Now we're not gonna be doing that just yet, because in actual fact I have my first person camera right here, and my spring arm and my actual camera, which are all dependent on my character. Okay, so if we delete the character, everything that's under here is going to be deleted as well. So before we do that, we're going to create a bunch of different placeholders for these things. Okay, so off of Then4, we are going to create a placeholder, let's say for the spring arm first. Okay, and I'm going to create some interesting tutorials about the spring arm in future videos, because it is something really interesting. Now the spring arm is going to be let's name that just spring arm. Okay, spring arm, let's say comp, because we want these two to be different, not for any other reason, but just so that we don't get confused. And now let's get the camera right here and then promote this to a variable. We're gonna name that TP camera. Remember, these are the placeholders that we're setting right here, and in a second we might have to delete. These are going to be gone from this part, but we're going I'm going to show you what I'm going to do in a bit. Okay, drag the POV camera as well, and then promote to a variable, and then name that first person camera. I'm gonna name that FP camera. Alright, now compile and then drag that into here, and you can see that we have a bunch of different placeholders. The placeholders that we have are for the character mesh, the camera, and the spring arm, which you cannot see right now. Also, I want to stress that you could make a placeholder for the collision as well, but we're not gonna be doing that in this tutorial because we want the collision to be the same for every single character now. And here comes the magic of object-oriented programming. Now let's go right here into the Astro 1 blueprint, and we can go off of parent event begin play, and that's gonna inherit everything that is in the parent class. Let's get a sequence. Alright, then 0, then 1. Yeah, let's get a bunch of these for now. Okay, and let's set the character mesh, this one right here. Get the component, set character mesh, and we are going to be dragging the character mesh in the viewport. Now it's going to be the same character mesh, but we don't care about that because, well, it's gonna be the first one is gonna be deleted, so the underlying one is gonna be deleted. Astro BP, okay, and then we remember to set the animation blueprint that we have created for the parent class for that as well. And now set the event graph. Okay, Astro character 1 is going to be the character mesh. Okay, now drag that out here so that we have some space, and then set FP camera. I'm gonna start with that. Actually, I'm gonna drag that right here under here. Okay, now we are going to drag in another camera, which is going to be another POV camera. It's going to be parented exactly like the camera that we had for the previous tutorial. The POV camera is going to be parented exactly into the socket. And now let's get in the Astro character 1. Let's actually drag that into Astro character 1 socket. We're gonna get the head bone. I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna come back to you in a second because I have done it for a previous tutorial as well. Okay, now you can see we have a bunch of different problems for that with the transform and everything, but I have another tutorial for that, so I'm not going to be wasting your time with this right now. I'm gonna do that for the spring arm and the third person camera and the POV camera, but basically just do those as I have done it in the previous tutorial. I'm going to link it in the description as well, so you can see how to have two cameras parented to a socket. And remember that you want those all to be dragged into the Astro character 1, so the second mesh that you dragged in, not the first one. Okay, great. Now you cannot see that I added the new things, the new spring arm, the new cameras, and all that good stuff, because they are overlapping with the old ones. If I delete the old ones, you're going to see these. I'm gonna do that for the Astro character 2 as well, similarly, just as I did with the first one. And remember that if you want your values to be exactly the same and you don't want to set them manually, you can just go. For instance, if you have a new camera, you can go and copy let's say a new spring arm, you can go and copy the target arm, let's right click and then copy, and then everything like that, copy and then paste into the new one. Now that we have created the new cameras, let's go here and set the FP camera to be camera 1, because that's the POV camera that I have set. And now let's go off of then 1 and then set the spring arm, set spring arm comp to be spring arm 1. Yes. Now let's set the TP camera, set TP third person camera to be the camera 2 that we have right here. Okay, and now let's drag this down here and pull them up. Now you have your components. Now theoretically we can go move on and delete the cameras, the spring arm and the character, but I'm not gonna do that yet, because if you do so, everything that had the target as the character, or the target as the POV camera or the spring arm, which we do not have anything with the spring arm, I believe. Anyways, it's gonna fail, so you're gonna get compiler errors, and that makes sense, okay, because you have set a target that does not exist anymore. So now we are going to replace the POV camera and the third person camera and all those things with their components. So out of POV camera, let's get the FP camera component right here. Let's control and click and drag to set that to be here, and then for camera as well, which is the third person camera, yeah, third person camera, get third person camera, control, click, drag, boom, delete here. And now let's see, do we have anything else? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have something else. Okay, so this is the Astro character, set relative rotation. Okay, we're gonna get the character mesh. Let's drag that in here, and then okay, yeah, it looks like we have something with the spring arm, but no worries, just get the spring arm comp, and then yeah, just drag that in here. Now you may not know where to start looking for things to replace, but a good place to start looking is by wherever you have animations, and wherever you have animations, play animation montage, play animation, play montage, whatever that is, you are going to have to set the target to be the character mesh, which until now was the Astro character. So find all your animations and then go and delete the Astro character from the target and replace it with the component. Now I believe we are fine. I'm going to compile right now, and we are going to be deleting these. Delete. Boom. Now though, you can see that the Astro character is still here in the Astro 1 child blueprint. The reason for that is obviously that we actually set that to be there from the child class right here, and all of these have been set from the child class to be here. Now the astronaut blueprint does not have anything like that, and that's perfect because we do not want anything to be in the viewport. Well, I left the collision, but yeah, just so that we don't add different collisions. Basically think of it like that. You want as much code as possible in the superclass, the parent class, and as many meshes, components, everything in the viewport as possible to be in the child class or subclass. I hope that helps. But now that we have done this, we can go and duplicate the Astro 1 subclass and then name it Astro 2. Actually, it was done automatically. That's pretty cool. But instead of having this as our mesh, we are going to be getting the second mesh that we have right here, Astro Anim BP, to be our animation blueprint. Now all that is left to do is to drag all of these into the Astro character 2. Okay, and now delete the Astro character 1. Of course, now we're going to but basically, yeah, set all the values as they should be, as you had them in the parent class and as you have them now in the first subclass. Now we have another issue though. If we go into the Pro mode, which is our game mode, and I explained that again in previous tutorials, well, we can spawn. You can see the default pawn class is basically who we spawn as, who the controller is possessed by, so who our mesh is, blueprint actually. Okay, and you can see it's the astronaut blueprint, which is the parent class, which is right here, but we don't want the parent class to be the blueprint we spawn as, because then our character is not gonna function properly because we don't have the mesh and the cameras and spring arm and everything. Instead, what we're gonna do is go here in promo and go set Astro 1 to be our character if we want to spawn as the subclass character 1. And you can see if I change cameras, yeah, everything works perfect. We can jump, we can sprint, everything just works like a charm. Then if we go into promo and change that to be Astro 2, which is the second subclass, then compile and save. And we go here, you can see that the code works because our mesh is here, our animations are here, our sprinting, all the code is here, and the switch camera works. Everything works like it's armed. So basically you can see that now we have two different meshes for one piece of code. And whenever why we use object-oriented programming, you may be asking yourself, why not just copy the code from one blueprint, then paste it into the other, and not have to deal with all that? Basically, think of a scenario like this. If you want your character to have 100 different skins, or 100 different characters able to be possessed by the controller, to be played by the player, or you wanted to make an update on your game, you would need to change your code 100 times. And you may be sure, you may just copy paste, but why do that and risk running in danger and then have to fix a bug 100 times when you can just do it once and then copy and transform it automatically to all the child classes? This is why object-oriented programming is here, and this is why some people love it, some people hate it. I personally am a big fan of it, and I really like using it for my games. RFC uses object-oriented programming, spoiler alert. And now you have run into this other issue. It's cool that you can change as a programmer which your pawn is gonna be from the start. So Astro 1, Astro 2, Astro 175, whatever. But I'm gonna set that to astronaut right now, for now. The thing is that you don't want the programmer to set which, but the thing is, you don't want the programmer, the developer, the team to decide which skin is gonna be played by the player. You want the player to do that, and for that you have to create a menu in the start or in mid-game where you can change your character. But this is a story for another time, because now the tutorial has gotten too long for us to see all that different stuff. And stay tuned, because I'm gonna be doing that very soon. So yeah, until then, let me know what you thought of this tutorial. Let me know if you want to see more tutorials about object-oriented programming, because I have a lot of tips for blueprints in Unreal Engine that I want to share, but tell me which one you want to see first. And without further ado, I will see you in the next one.
That's the stuff. I should watch more videos.